Tell him I got the juice.
Question of the day: are relationships transactional? Now, I'm a big fan of starting out with some definitions. And so the definition of transaction referred to as an exchange or transfer of goods, services, or funds. And this makes sense, right? When you think of buying products, selling products, it makes sense for products. Keyword, products, but not people. Products are meant to be consumer based. Products are meant to serve you and you alone, kind of looking at something, comparing it to something else. What's the most that I'm going to get out of this brand or that brand, this product or that product? But people shouldn't be used in the same way. And I think that's where a lot of these kinds of things potentially go wrong. And it is the view of transactional relationships that actually have a lot of perspective, in my humble opinion, to deal with the increase in divorce rates, the increase of so many people viewing marriage as a contract and not as a covenant. I mean, really think about it. So many people are viewing marriage as something that isn't even worth it for a man to get into because of how much he loses if things go wrong. And when a transaction-based relationship is taking place, there's only one question that is at the forefront of the entire situation. What do I get out of being here? What do I get out of this relationship? What do I get out of connecting with this person? What's in it for me? Because that's kind of really all I care about. And as we see, that isn't as beneficial. Leads to quicker separations, leads to quicker messiness, leads to great distortion and misrepresentation of relationships and the purposes and use for them at many and different stages. And concerns a lot of take. Me. It's all about me. And if this doesn't seem right to you, it's probably because it isn't right. Because transactional relationships aren't actually beneficial in any kind of way to the relationships that we all desire to carry. In fact, us humans, we need to be loved. We're designed to love and to be loved. And the only way in which such positions or mannerisms can even be reached and maxed out is by others investing into us and us investing into others, taking a risk, taking a chance, and actually diving into a process of building with somebody for long lifetime experiences that can be ahead. So what's the other option? If transactional is all about take, if transactional is all about what's in it for me and never really concerning or considering the other person that I'm speaking to, having conversation with, or looking to build, what's the other option? I think I got it. Transformational. Transformation, by definition, of course, is an act or process or instance of being transformed, but specifically when we look at Cambridge Dictionary, I like how it's put: a complete change in the appearance or character of something or someone, especially so that thing or person is improved. So there's a level of investment that takes place in transformation that endures a process. It's not one night, one session, or one event. It's not one occurrence, but it's a process. It's something that needs endurance, that needs patience, that needs a willingness to commit daily to developing what's necessary in order to see the outcomes that are envisioned. And of course, one of the best places that we can see this is in relationships. The same person that you decide to marry on your wedding day won't be the same person that you'll know 10 years into marriage, 20 years into marriage, so on and so forth, because that person is changing. That person is growing. That person no longer thinks the same way they did when you first got married. So when I think about the difference between transaction and transformation, here's the biggest thing that comes to mind. Whereas transaction tells us me, and what's in it for me, transformational relationships actually are two people who come together and say, what can I do for you? And it's in that question that so much clarity and understanding comes about, where needs from both people are being met by them both serving each other more than they're serving themselves. And this is essentially what love and genuine true love is really sourced in: the capacity to love somebody, invest in somebody, pour into somebody, not for what they have, but for who they are, and willing to undergo transformation, die to selfishness and pride in order to meet the needs of the other person. And of course, by doing so, trusting that by matching with this individual with matching values, belief systems, foundations, things of that sort, this individual too will be willing to pour back into you. And I know what you might be thinking.
Hey, yo, great. Sounds cool, but there's just so much energy, work, effort, chance, risk that I gotta take in order to build something like that. I've already been down that road. Why do I want to go back again?
But here's something that I want you to really understand. Love is always a risk. Commitment is always a risk. You will never be able to look so far down the line and be able to pinpoint if this person is going to stay, if this person is going to remain. Vice versa, that same person to you. If things are going to go down, are you going to be around? If things are looking up, are you going to remain around? Those kinds of things are always on the minds of us. It's a human thing. But one thing that gives us the surety, the confidence, the availability, the willingness to take that risk, to take that chance, and to commit to somebody, to build transformational relationships where we say it's not dependent on what you have, and it's not because of what you have that I'm here. It's because of who you are, and whether you have it or you don't, I'm going to remain, is one key ingredient: a foundation in Christ. Your belief system and your foundation is what is going to make room and set precedents for you to be able to create transformational relationships. Because in order to create transformational relationships, you yourself must be willing to undergo transformation. And there's no greater transformative process than one that is endured by walking with Christ, which consists of a heart change, a change of thinking, and a change of moving, a change of being, and a change of doing. These things that are so important when it comes to building transformational relationships. And without Jesus in the center of any and all relationships you build, there's so much humanity involved and is incapable of reaching the full potential of being transformational. So in order to get the most out of the relationships you build, the relationship you build can't be transactional. Relationships aren't designed to be transactional. Relationships are designed to be transformational, because not only is it not good for man to be alone, but when we speak of the entity of love, love that in and of itself is the greatest power and cause of great transformation in any life. This love is patient, is kind, doesn't envy and doesn't boast, is not proud and does not vaunt itself, does not seek itself, does not dishonor others, is not easily angered, and does not keep record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always hopes, always trusts, always perseveres. Love never fails. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4-8. Even though the context speaks on spiritual gifts, Paul still tells us what love is and what love is not. And in this process, he gives us a glimpse of the transformation that actual love creates. And where there's only transaction, love really can't be present, because love is never based on what you can do for me. Love is always based on who you are, and the willingness to commit, the willingness to make the daily decision to commit, the willingness to say that no matter what condition you're in, circumstance you find yourself in, good or bad, right or wrong decisions you may make, I'm willing to stick by your side, to work things through, to remain, not for what you have, but for who you are. And the glue that keeps that together isn't my own humanity, but it's Christ and Christ alone, who is the definition and embodiment of love itself. So how do you create transformational relationships? You have to remove yourself from the center of attention, the centerfold of everything. No longer willing to make relationships about you and about all that you can get from it without looking to deposit anything into it. And the best way to do so is by building a genuine foundation relationship with Christ, doing things God's way. Prayer, Bible study, community, getting around people who are going to build you up in the foundations of Christ, and learning what it really means to love others, because he is the greatest example of love. For scripture says we love him because he first loved us. We had nothing to give, nothing to offer but our brokenness and sin. And yet Jesus came and paid it all, died a death that we should have died, and resurrected so that we would have life in him. And he sets the precedence that relationships aren't transactional, but rather transformational. And he's the greatest transformation we can endure, we can undergo, that is always optimal for the lives we live and the human flourishment around us. So if you want to build transformational relationships, the biggest tools you need is to have a foundation in relationship with Christ, and to be willing to let go of your selfishness in order to love at the highest places possible. People are not products. So let's stop moving like it, because that's how transactional relationships begin and end, by treating people as products that we can compare, we can buy, we can sell, and ultimately hurt in the end. And it is in transformational relationships that process, investment, and change for the better takes place between the people who are in relationship with one another for the greater good, bringing the best out of the people that they're around and investing into them, not because of what they can give, but simply because of who they are. And no matter what happens, the circumstance or situation, that person isn't going to walk away, because your relationship with them was never dependent on what you had, but it was always dependent on who you are. Listen, if you like this kind of video, you like these kind of breakdowns, definitely be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, get it on the algorithm so others can see it, share it with a friend, turn on the post bell notification so you know the next time we're posting, as we're dedicated to building healthy, happy, and whole biblical relationships around here. Definitely click on this next video to catch more of the content that we're posting out here. All right. I appreciate you guys oh so much. And until the next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Peace.